I've noticed something, by the way. You mentioned this a couple of days ago. I've been watching TV because I've wanted to catch up on the latest on the Russia investigation and how that's going. So I've been scanning all the news network channels, and I can't find any coverage on the Russia investigation. What is going on with that?
It's almost like it happened overnight. Why has the television all this week been on MSNBC? Because I want to see if they have indeed following the script I thought they would follow. We know that Fox News isn't going to talk much about the Russia investigation. MSNBC and CNN, the collusion news network, that's all they've done for the past years, talk about Russia. Not Marcia, it's Russia. Well,
your Brady Bunch reference.
Has anybody ever heard of Crossfire Hurricane?
I remember it from the song lyrics.
Okay, Rolling Stone song.
Yep.
All right, the New York Times yesterday, breaking news story.
And this is the New York Times.
The New York Times.
Okay.
It's exclusive to the New York Times, above the fold on their website. I don't get the printed publication because I'm not a caveman. I mean,
the
I've got a
websites
computer.
don't actually fold, but it's at the top of the page, right?
All right, here we go. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
This is the New York Times, and here's why you're not hearing much at all about the Russia investigation. The New York Times is probably the most friendly source of the FBI and DOJ in relating to leaks. I mean, if you think about the operatives within the CIA, the deep state, that's right, there is a deep state. It's real, it's prominent, it's pronounced, it's prolific, and it's very active right now. But they're not active in investigating Donald Trump. They're very active today in CYA. And that's called cover your butt. But the A stands for something else.
That would be CYB.
I'll let your imagination
know what you mean.
Go there. Here's the article in only the New York Times. Now, rest assured, by tomorrow or over the weekend, you'll hear a lot about Crossfire Hurricane. Here's the code name, Crossfire Hurricane, the secret origins of the Trump investigation. The first couple of paragraphs in the New York Times exclusive, and give them credit, they probably have as much journalistic infrastructure as anybody in the world. I mean, it is indeed the record of the paper of record, if there's still a newspaper of record in America. Liberal, no doubt. Anti-Trump, no doubt. They have, and I'm going to give the New York Times a little bit of credit here. The Washington Post is still guns a-blazing. We got to get Trump out of there. I think somebody at the time said, whoa. I mean, there's got to be an ethical line, and we've got to have crossed it at some point in time about really being a part of a coup to overthrow a duly elected American president. If we want to be if we want to be still standing a long time from now, we got to stop this nonsense. I mean, let CNN do what CNN does. Let CBS and ABC and NBC do what they do. We've got to reestablish some level of credibility with the American public, because I think people are beginning to see us for what we really are, and that is somebody who is so passionately opposed to Trump that we're failing to be objective. So I think there's been an adjustment at the New York Times. I really believe that. I don't know where it came from. I don't know under what directive, but it appears to me. Now, obviously, they're still agenda-driven. It's a liberal newspaper, but it's a little bit different than the Washington Post right now. And I think the Post is all about billionaire who doesn't like billionaire. Bezos doesn't like Trump. Trump doesn't like Bezos. And they're in kind of a, who's got the fastest jet contest. Within hours of opening an investigation into the Trump campaign's ties to Russia, in the summer of 2016, the FBI, this is news that nobody had ever heard, the FBI dispatched a pair of agents to London on a mission so secretive that all but a handful of officials were kept in the dark. Their assignment, which has not been previously reported, was to meet the Australian ambassador, who they believed had evidence that one of Donald Trump's advisors knew in advance about Russian election meddling. After tense deliberations between Washington and Canberra, who was the top Australian official, they broke protocol. There's kind of a diplomatic protocol that these countries have dealing one with another, and allowed the ambassador Alexander Downer to sit down for an FBI interview to describe his meeting with George Papadopoulos. Remember, Papadopoulos drank too much in a bar in Washington and bragged to somebody about things that Trump was doing in relation to Hillary Clinton, some emails. I mean, he said, hey, I know I've got some news that Trump and his team are trying to find some emails that somebody has some dirt on Hillary Clinton. The agents summarized this highly unusual interview, sent word to Washington 2 days after the investigation was opened. The report, we believe, let me back up, I believe, is the foundation for a case that a year ago today, 1 year today, the 1 year anniversary of the investigation, became indeed the special counsel's investigation. Only a small group of FBI officials knew it by its code name. Correct. It already had a code name, Crossfire Hurricane. And it is referenced to the Rolling Stone lyric in a song. Well, here's what I believe is happening. We only got a couple of minutes here. I believe that the FBI leaked to the New York Times some of this information to get ahead of the story to come. We're going to find out, as Kimberly Strassel said Friday in the Wall Street Journal, we're going to find out that the FBI and DOJ were complicit in planning a spy. Well, that's unfair. I said yesterday, that's unfair. An informant, a source within the Trump campaign. In the summer of 2016, they found some information that was not collaborated, was not supported. It was simply a guy drunk in a bar speaking to somebody who passed that information along, and out of that came a special investigation. And I believe, as Kimberly Strassel does, that the FBI and DOJ took liberties with their privileges and figured out a way to infiltrate the Trump campaign with an informant.
Whoa.
And that is, and I believe the Times is doing this on purpose. I mean, obviously, they're in the newspaper business. They're in selling print and digital media. But I think this is the FBI and DOJ releasing their version of what happened, as friendly as it can possibly be. But they're basically greasing the skid for the story to come. And the story to come is the previous administration. I hesitate to say the previous president. I'm suspicious there. But the previous administration indeed treated the Trump campaign and candidacy as a foreign adversary, because that's what you do to foreign adversaries. That's what you do to people adversary to the democracy and representative republic called the United States of America. And they looked at the Trump campaign in the summer of 2016 as an adversary. And they figured out a way to get a spy. I keep saying spy because that's the easy word, and it's the most provocative word, but it's probably not fair. And I can hear somebody saying, what's the difference in an informant and a spy? And I think there is a difference. I think technically when you look at some of the language in FBI and DOJ statutes, there is a difference. But I believe the New York Times, I'm not saying they're running interference because they ran the article, but it is very much an FBI DOJ. It's like John Brennan and James Clapper, and some others, James Comey, sat down and said, okay, here's the narrative we need to start with. Here's the story we need to begin with. But I think when the IG's report comes out, I think when some of this Intelligence Committee investigation comes out, I think at some point in time we will know the name of the individual. But yeah, I believe today we can confirm that the previous administration was complicit in allowing the FBI and DOJ to place an informant for their own edification and satisfaction and gratification within the Trump campaign. Somebody running for president had somebody working for the current president within the ranks of their campaign staff working on behalf of the FBI and DOJ.
Wow.
That's mind-boggling. No telling where this ends up, but remember, Crossfire Hurricane. Back in a minute. Good morning, PD Live 95.